tercer capítulo de la segunda temporada de Mirada a quien encontré. Volvemos para seguir hablando con gente curiosa, con gente que de alguna forma u otra ha influido nuestras vidas o por lo menos ha pasado por nuestras vidas. Vamos a hablar de un programa que se emitió entre 1997 y 2001 que fue destinado al público infantil, que seguro que consumiste quizás de forma más irónica que real, a menos que tengas menos de 25 o 24 años más o menos por ahí y lo hayas visto realmente y te hayas criado, porque hablamos de un programa de televisión que cambió la forma de hacer televisión educativa, si se quiere, para los más chicos y que marcó a más de uno. Hablamos de los Teletubbies, hablamos con gente que trabajó exactamente desde adentro de este universo infantil, así que fíjate, mirá quién encontré.
Originally, I was a dancer and actress, and I ran my own dance theatre company. And we always liked to, we were kind of funny people, I guess. And dance at the time was very serious, you know, and we made kind of funny dance. I was over 30, so things were things were starting to hurt a little bit. It gets harder to to make the demands of dancing. And also I was just really fed up of being poor. And I went for auditions all over the place. And the one for Teletubbies said something like, performers with interesting backgrounds and personalities particularly welcome. So I thought, that's interesting. You actually want some people rather than just kind of performing machines. But then when Anne came in and started talking to the people who were assembled there, must have been about 40 of us by that time, she started talking to us about what she was trying to do. And I just thought, this is amazing what this woman, because there was, there's never been anything like that. Yeah. And it was her deep integrity, really, and her love for the little children, and that they deserved to have something that was specifically made for them and had really high production values. And that was the point at which I just thought, oh, my God, I really want this job now. I like that there's no BS at all, They're not going to kind of try and... They don't care about whether they hurt your feelings. So, yes, if they're bored, they get up and go away. So you have a very clear... indication about whether or not you're engaging them.
Hora de los Teletubbies, hora de los Teletubbies, hora de los Teletubbies.
It was nuts at first, when it first hit, and it was everywhere, and that was just crazy, and it made me think, I have no idea why anybody in their right minds wants to be famous, because even the tiny, weeny little bit that we experienced was just horrible. People going through your rubbish and hassling your mother and
yeah.
having to lie down in the back of a car to go home. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what happened was that Princess Diana died, and so that was something else entirely. They all had their minds full of that, and we just went back into our happy little puppet world again. So we were quite closely guarded, and that was part of how the paparazzi were interested, was because they wanted to find out who on earth we were, because nobody knew. Our 10-year anniversary in 2007, that was nice. We had a little bit of a world tour going and waving at people, and they decided that then people were officially allowed to know who we were. So that was quite fun to go and do some work, not in a giant suit.
Yeah.
It was never down to us. It was always down to the producers. And their thinking, and I think their thinking was right, was that because the Teletubbies were real for the little children who were watching us, you couldn't suddenly go, behold, there is a human in here. It's like saying there's no Santa Claus. I can't remember. I think our first reveal was in New York.
In the city of New York, as Teletubbies, Autism Speaks, Pure Autism Now Day.
This show was so big that it was in 120 countries. It was translated to 20 languages. So you're famous all over the world. Why do you think the Teletubbies were material for export?
Because it was for young children. It meant that the language was very easy to follow. So the Teletubbies people say, oh, you didn't speak at all. Well, we did, but we spoke in a kind of proto-language. So you had, like children do, where they know the tune, but they don't know the words.
Yeah.
Kind of, that. And we had a very limited vocabulary, and we were very visually communicative. So I think that meant that across the world, it was easy for people to access.
And the fact that there were people that told, okay, this isn't good for kids. What did you talk about this?
Well, we did get a lot of that because, of course, when we first started, there wasn't the whole online thing. But yeah, we got a bit of that in the press, and particularly about the language, about how, it was detrimental to children's language development and it was going to turn them all into idiots and so on and so forth. But considering that the man who wrote it studied childhood speech patterns and relevant psychology and so forth, we knew we were right.
Dos. Tres.
A 1-year-old, an 18-month-year-old or some such, who's been brought along maybe with a slightly older sibling. So obviously the baby can't understand the story that I'm telling.
Yeah.
But we'll join in with my facial expressions and sometimes with if it has like a little rhyme, kind of a chorus to it, the story, those babies, they will join in with it because they're understanding that there's a pattern.
Yeah.
And they're understanding that there's a cadence that they're hearing in the other language around them, but they're having a chance to focus only on that because of the other stimulation is less. Yeah. So, there are some kind of deep things behind it. I won't even bore you, but the use of repetition, the use of being able to hear something and then see it slightly afterwards so you can make that prediction. Yeah. There's lots of very deeply educational things, but because we weren't Sesame Street and didn't go A, B, C, everyone thought we were just kind of mucking about, but we weren't.
Yeah. Was it a real place, the Teletubbyland? Was it for real? And what happened? I read that I think it was flooded because fans sneak in every day, and the owner was like, okay, enough, and decided to flood the place. So where was that place? What happened? What's the story behind this place?
Yeah, over the hills and far away, obviously. But it was when we had it right in the middle of it. It's right in the middle of England. When we had permission from the farmer for the land and the planning permission to build it was always an agreement for the planning to do it in the first place was that we had to agree to put it back to something natural. And part of that was, you just can't, because you can't monitor that. And if somebody comes over and, really hurts themselves or something, then that's not a good look. And so it was just the sort of safest thing to do.
With the internet, everyone discussed many things about the Teletubbies. Were you aware of all the controversies around the show?
Well, we did when it first kind of hit, when Jerry Falwell started banging on about Tinky Winky being gay. I mean, I think any sane person just goes, what? That says so much more about him than it does about us. It's just like the most ludicrous thing. So I think that was our attitude through all of that. Is just like, oh, come on. What's the matter with you? Teletubbies kind of changed all of it, partly in terms of production values, like people stopped just sort of grabbing hold of a like dolly waggling. We'll just grab a puppet and do this and that could be okay because it's only kids. So I think that changed. I think kind of respect for what you put in front of children changed. And I think something about kind of entering a world that is the world of the child's imagination rather than all the time having an adult telling you what's going on or explaining and so forth. I think that kind of shifted a little bit and things started to happen more on the child level.
Hasta ahí entonces la charla con Nikki Smedley, todo lo que contó. Queda un dato curioso que se los quiero contar yo, que es la Teletubby favorita de Taylor Swift. Si bien estaba como dato mencionado a lo largo de la entrevista, la llegó a conocer antes de que fuera la estrella musical que es hoy en día. Estaba empezando a levantar vuelo Taylor Swift y se cruzaron en un programa de televisión donde le declaró su fanatismo y le dijo que incluso tenía un traje de Lala. Espero que les haya gustado, me gustaría leer sus comentarios respecto a de qué manera se vincularon con esta serie y por lo pronto nos vemos la semana que viene.
Yep, very hot, very heavy, very hard work. Yeah, particularly on your neck, holding that big thing on your head. But you know, they employed people who'd worked physically, so we were all strong. We could all do it, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't your favorite thing.
Yeah.
The hot and the insects get inside and you can't scratch them. We all had marvelous dressers who looked after us, who helped us kind of get in and out and would bring us drinks of water and so on and so forth. So